sun-drenched beaches, sparkling turquoise water, a gentle breeze. Okay, so maybe we're not actually on the French Riviera, but we can dream, right?
Right, and luckily for us, we've got something even better than a postcard today.
Exactly. We're diving into Radio Nizza, an Italian language media outlet that's going to give us a unique perspective on this iconic region.
And it might seem a bit surprising to find an Italian language outlet in France.
Yeah, you don't typically think of those two languages going together.
Right, but Radio Nizza actually highlights those deep historical connections between these regions.
Fascinating. So tell me more about what we can expect to find on Radio Nizza.
Well, they cover news, but it's really their focus on local culture that drew us to them. Think of it as a window into the soul of the French Riviera.
I like that, a window into the soul. And from what I've seen, they cover a real mix of stuff, from hard-hitting news to arts and culture.
Exactly, and that's where it gets really interesting. You see that juxtaposition of, say, an article about the Telegram founder potentially seeking French citizenship alongside an announcement for a local concert.
It's like they've curated this collection of stories that really show you the Riviera's many sides. So where should we start our deep dive? What caught your eye?
Well, there's an article about an art exhibition in Lugano that really intrigued me. It features the works of Yves Klein and Armin, two artists with strong ties to Nice.
Oh, Yves Klein, the international Klein blue guy? I've definitely heard of him, even if I'm not a huge art buff.
Exactly. That vibrant ultramarine blue was his signature. What makes this exhibition so interesting is that it brings together these two giants of the Nouveau Realism movement, which really pushed the boundaries of what art could be. Sculptures from everyday objects, performance art, it was all about challenging the norm. And the fact that both Klein and Armand drew inspiration from these makes it even more fascinating.
It's like this exhibition is a conversation between these two artists with Nice as the backdrop.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it highlights how a place can shape the creative output of artists.
And speaking of shaping things, I noticed that Radio Nizza didn't just report on the exhibition, they went a step further.
Oh, so?
They actually have interviews with Rotraut Klein, Yves Klein's widow, and the director of the Klein Archives in Paris. Talk about insider access.
That's incredible. And it really speaks to the kind of deep connections a local outlet like Radio Nizza can cultivate. These aren't just detached reports. They're personal glimpses into the art world and its connection to this specific place.
Yeah.
And it makes you realize every place has these hidden artistic legacies.
Right, like just waiting to be discovered.
Exactly. And speaking of those hidden legacies, Radio Nizza also featured an article about someone who dedicated his life to preserving that for nice Robert Verdoya.
Okay, Robert Verdoya, that name doesn't ring a bell. Tell me more.
So according to Radio Nizza, this guy was obsessed.
Obsessed.
Basically, yeah. Obsessed with Nice's history and heritage. Spent years researching, documenting, basically becoming this walking encyclopedia of all things.
Nice. Wow, dedication.
Right. And what's really cool is that he left behind this incredible archive.
So his work lives on.
Exactly. His knowledge, his love for his hometown, it's all there for future generations. It's a good reminder that sometimes the most impactful legacies are the ones built by individuals, not big institutions.
So true. It makes you wonder how differently we might understand places if we had a Robert Verdoya for every city, you know? But okay, we've talked about art, legacies. Radio Nizza also covers current events, and one story caught my eye, the one about Pavel Durov.
Ah, yes. The Telegram founder. You mean the bit about him potentially seeking French citizenship?
Yeah, that one. Seemed a little ironic given his stance on privacy and all that.
Right, it's not the most obvious move. For those who don't know, Telegram is this encrypted messaging app, hugely popular. And Durov himself has been very outspoken about protecting user privacy.
Even criticizing governments, I think I read somewhere.
Exactly. So yeah, him wanting to become a citizen of a country known for, shall we say, keeping a close eye on things, it raised some eyebrows.
To put it mildly.
And Radio France.
Yeah.
That's a major French media outlet. They're actually investigating his citizenship application.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah. Seems there's more to this story than meets the eye. We don't know all the details yet, but it definitely makes you think about Durov's motivations.
It's like a real-life thriller playing out on the French Riviera. International intrigue, technology, maybe even a touch of espionage.
Maybe. But what I find particularly interesting is how this situation highlights that tension between individual freedom and national security, especially in our digital age.
Because on one hand, you have Durov building his entire platform on the promise of privacy, but then on the other hand, you have the interests of a nation state, which might not always align with those values.
Exactly. It's a complex issue with no easy answers.
Yeah.
Definitely something to ponder while sipping